Welcome to my Super Bowl 45 breakdown and predictions. We're going to cover everything from the commercials to the prop bets to the weather and to the fact that a 43-year-old man switched teams during a pandemic and led literally the worst NFL franchise to the Super Bowl. So get comfortable. As a bonus, I'm going to include a 2-round 2021 NFL mock draft at the end because it's the Super Bowl and y'all deserve it. I also saved 2 Madden 21 codes for this very moment. I got one for Xbox One, one for PS4. If you don't have this game yet, don't worry, you haven't missed a thing because this game sucks, but it's nice for passing the time during the NFL offseason. If you want a chance to win, comment down below your Super Bowl 55 MVP prediction along with what console you have, either Xbox or PS4. I'll pick someone from each console that predicts the MVP correctly and is subbed to the channel. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new or if you're an old lurker, and let's break these teams down one by one. Starting with the road team, the Chiefs. Last week, they took the second best team that the AFC had to offer and toyed with them, even spotting them a 9-point lead just to come back and dominate them on both sides of the ball. I've said this many times over the course of the year, but it feels appropriate to state it one last time before the Super Bowl. This is the new team of the decade, and Patrick Mahomes is one of the next all-time greats. Don't waste your energy getting upset over the excessive coverage that Mahomes and company get, and just sit back and appreciate the fact that you're watching a baby goat in real time. It's actually ironic that the Super Bowl is against Tom Brady because I thought we already had this handing of the torch take place in the 2018 AFC Championship game, but the old man had to switch conferences so that he could make it go down one more time, and this time in the Super Bowl. But every decade since the 1970s has had a team of the decade. Patriots, they had the last 2 decades. If the Chiefs want to be the team of the 2020s, they need to get this one here. Otherwise, they could end up as the next Seahawks, and the next thing you know, Patrick Mahomes is breaking things off with his girl, marrying some rapper's ex-girlfriend, and taking care of their kid. And if that's not enough to be concerned about, then take a look at the AFC quarterback landscape. There are young franchise ballers everywhere. The Bills, they might have overachieved this year, but they will be back in prime next year. Meanwhile, the Ravens, Browns, Titans all look like they have contending foundations in place. And the Chargers and whoever gets Deshaun Watson will have a dynamic quarterback that can take over games. Basically, Patrick Mahomes can't let these opportunities slip past him because he's looking at a crowded AFC for the rest of his career. But enough about him. We cannot neglect this Chiefs defense. Patrick Mahomes can't win all of these one-score games without impact plays from the defense. Starting with the big boy up front, Chris Jones, who's also building a Hall of Fame career on this team and is one of the best interior pass rushers in the league. And then Tyrann Mathieu and Juan Wild Thornhill Berries make up a pretty dynamic secondary that make up for the lack of playmakers at the linebacker position. But like I said, this defense is built around making just enough plays so that if the Chiefs offense stumbles early on and they find themselves in a 9-0 or 10-0 hole early in the game, they can make just enough plays and put just enough pressure on an opposing offense to allow this dynamic offense back in the game. That's why it's been so hard to pick against them all year long, and this team seems really focused on repeating as Super Bowl champions, despite the fact that this is something that is really hard to do. In fact, the last team to go back-to-back were the 03-04 Patriots, quarterbacked by none other than your boy Tom Brady. So let's shift over to the Buccaneers now. Did you know that Tom Brady's the only NFL player in history to play in 10 Super Bowls? 10. Okay, well, did you know that 5 out of the last 6 wildcard teams to make it to the Super Bowl have won? I think that this is a big part of riding the momentum from a late season push just to get into the playoffs. And then when you get there, you're able to just keep that ball rolling, which is essentially what the Buccaneers have done. They went on the road 3 times in some rather difficult places to win against some pretty good quarterbacks just to be the first team in NFL history with home field advantage. Another fun fact is that the Bucs are going to the Super Bowl with the first ever all-black coordinating staff. Bruce Arians has been a pioneer for diversity on his coaching staff. So if you're looking for somebody to root for, don't think of it as rooting for Tom Brady. Think about it as rooting for Bruce Arians. And for the trolls on my Super Bowl curse video, the Bucs actually have to win it for a curse to be beaten, and your words can't hurt as much as YouTube has already done by barely showing that video to anyone after I spent literal days researching and writing that one up. Maybe this offseason I'll address the MVP curse because that one is definitely alive and well. In fact, Tom Brady is to blame for 3 MVPs going down without a Super Bowl victory, including a potential 4th one this year in Aaron Rodgers. But a lot has to be said for the Bruce Arians and Tom Brady relationship. They spent their bye week doing some real soul searching because the Bucs went into the bye week 7-5 and came out to go on a 7-0 run, which is a Bucs franchise record. The offense underwent some cosmetic changes during that time, and Tom Brady was able to get some concepts he felt much more comfortable in incorporated into the game plan. This is one of the big reasons that Tom Brady wanted to leave New England. Bill Belichick would never release the reins. And I think after a Hall of Fame career, Brady felt like he had deserved an opportunity to have some of that Peyton Manning flexibility. Giving Tom Brady shit has been the trendy thing thing to do after that Packers game, and I get it. 3 interceptions on the stat line, it's not good. Trust me, I've loved hating on Tom Brady throughout his career. Much like with Mahomes, let's take a break from hating and appreciate greatness, because what this old man is doing has never been done before. Yeah, all the talk is about the quarterbacks in this game, but both of the defenses haven't been given their due, especially the Bucs. Todd Bowles has transformed this defense from a historically bad unit into one of the best in the league in only 2 seasons. The young secondary has come to play for the playoffs, and the pass rush was dealt a pretty nice hand with the offensive line injuries that the opposition has been dealt. The linebackers are nasty and could challenge Travis Kelce like nobody in the league other than Fred Warner could do. Devin White had a dominant season, and Levante David has been doing it for a long time and is one of the more deserving players to get this opportunity. That poor guy's been there through some ups and downs, and it's pretty cool that he now gets to play in his home stadium. And I actually think that this defense has the pieces that could challenge this Chiefs offense, especially given the offensive line injuries that the Chiefs are dealing with. So let's talk about that. As far as injuries go, both teams have made it all the way to the Super Bowl relatively unscathed, except one of the most devastating of all the injuries that could have possibly happened took place last week in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs have already weathered the storm with their right tackle Mitchell Schwartz being out. Now their left tackle, who was having their best season as a pro, Eric Fisher, tore his Achilles and will not be in this game. And to me, this is the biggest injury of the game. We all saw what happened to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers without their left tackle against this Bucs defense. Le'Veon Bell is questionable with a knee, and Sammy Watkins was put on ice just for this game. This is his time to shine, and I think he makes this Chiefs passing game go from crazy dynamic to just stupid dynamic. As far as the Bucs, Antonio Brown will be back, and Antoine Winfield Jr. is still dealing with that ankle injury. He was questionable going into the NFC Championship game, but with 2 more weeks to recover, I don't see how he doesn't play in the Super Bowl. I was pretty confident with my Bucs pick going into that Packers game, but when I heard report of him missing, I was a little bit concerned for the Bucs secondary. But there's so many young players in this secondary, hungry guys with chips on their shoulder. It should be a nice matchup with the plethora of weapons that the Chiefs have on offense. As far as the weather goes, it's impossible to really predict it this early on, but the early signs show that it should be about 72 degrees during the day, shifting to high 50s at night, and mostly clear. You know, a regular Florida day in February. There is a reason why a majority of the Super Bowls have all been hosted in this state, and it's because the conditions are typically going to be perfect for a football game. Worst case scenario, it might be a little bit windy, and that probably favors the quarterback with the stronger arm. So let's move on to some more fun stuff. But before we do, I've got a question for you guys in the comments. If the Buccaneers win this game, do you think that Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski should retire right off into the sunset together? Personally, I don't think that they both will. Gronk might. He's a little bit flaky, but you know that Brady is a crazy competitor, and after taking hometown discounts his entire career, I don't think there's any way that he walks away from $28 million plus the opportunity to potentially run it back with 2 teams. But I'm interested to know your thoughts. Let me know down below. Let's talk about the commercials. CBS is asking for $5.5 million this year for a 30-second ad spot during Super Bowl 55, but it's not the price tag that's causing Budweiser or Hyundai, Coke, and Pepsi to all sit out of the Super Bowl commercial fund. Budweiser said that they'll be allocating the money for a Super Bowl commercial towards raising awareness for the COVID-19 vaccine with a 90-second ad titled Bigger Picture. And then Pepsi said they're doubling down on the 12-minute halftime show, and some other companies were just afraid of the weirdos and coming for their heads if the tone of their commercial wasn't on point. But much like NFL teams had to be with their players on the COVID list this year, it's next man up. Now other companies will get their chance to shine. I'm hopeful that the commercials will be better than they have been in previous years. And anyways, Bud Light will still be running a commercial, and theirs are usually funnier than the Clydesdale horses that only try to make you cry. Now let's go over some prop bets. I'm gonna go over 4 here today, but if you got some fun or entertaining prop bets or scenarios, post them down below. I'll do my best to try to answer some, and I'm sure everybody else will answer some too. But first off, I've got the coin toss. This is always a big one, and the first one for me that actually involves a football game. I really don't care how long the national anthem goes on for, but I think the coin toss will go to the team with the luckiest quarterback in NFL history, the hometown squad. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have got to be the favorites to win the coin toss. Then after that, the first player to score a touchdown. For me, I think it's got to be Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill is an obvious choice, but the safest guy has got to be Kelce because they always scheme him some kind of misdirection that ends up in the hands of Kelce around the goal line. But a dark horse that I have for this would be Le'Veon Bell. And then the Gatorade shower. I went with red last year because duh, the Chiefs are red, but that was me being kind of cute. This year, I'm playing for keeps, so let's go with orange because that was the Gatorade that the Chiefs had last year, and you know, a team likes what they like. Also, if the Buccaneers win, orange is the closest color to creamsicle, so it seems like a safe bet either way. And then my MVP, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to overthink this one. Also, I don't want to give away any dark horses because I want you guys to get creative in the comments for your choice if you want a chance to win this Madden 21 code. Speaking of winning, let's finally finally pick a winner for Super Bowl 55. Now, the home field advantage is cool on paper, and I'm glad that I could try and invent a curse the year that it gets as close as ever to be broken, but the Buccaneers were not all that great at home this year, and I worry about that discipline that Tom Brady was lacking from Bill Belichick, reining him back in. Last week was a prime example. As soon as Tom Brady got a comfortable lead, he started going for kill shots when he didn't need to, and started blowing his load with bad interceptions. It's actually hilarious that I was getting called a Tom Brady fanboy in the last few videos when picking the Bucs to win after spending the last, 15 plus years hating the guy, and that's why I'm recommending that you embrace Patrick Mahomes' greatness instead of spending years hating him like I did with the Patriots winning all the time. What I'm really interested to see is the Andy Reid approach to this defense. Do they look at this #1 run defense and just try to run right at it? I doubt it. It's more likely that they scheme a lot of Patrick Mahomes bootlegs for some quick short motion passes that will serve as the running game early on and try to open things up later. Which reminds me, I made it through an entire video without referencing Andy Reid's record coming off of a bye week. Even if he didn't have one of the most dynamic, versatile offenses of our lifetime, it would be really hard for me to pick against Andy Reid in a Super Bowl with that extra week to prepare. So I have the Chiefs winning 38-31. And then as promised, here's my 2-round 2021 mock draft. There's no trades in this, but my mock format is taking longer to perfect than I had hoped for, so I wanted to get one out there for you guys and gals while I wrap this video up. You'll have to stay tuned for a 2-round mock with trades and pick-by-pick breakdown coming before the Super Bowl. It's crazy, I remember thinking that this season would end up feeling like the winner of this COVID year would have some sort of asterisk next to their name in the history books based on the circumstances, but it's a relief to make it here finally without any missed games, and it feels like these are the two best teams from both conferences. Shout out to the 10K that showed up every week and watched my weekly pick'em series. You guys are the real MVPs. I think this is the 3rd year of me doing this, and I think next year is going to look significantly different. I'm kicking these twins to the curb, or at least dropping them off at daycare each day, so I'm gonna have time to make multiple videos per week, and we're gonna expand the YouTube membership perks, adding in weekly live streams, and I'm afraid the pick'em group might need to become more of an exclusive group for YouTube members. But look for all those changes to take place during that dead period in the summer between the NFL draft and training camps. Until then, I'm going hard with mock drafts and draft season stuff. I'm gonna try for a new mock draft every other week. Hopefully I can figure out a way to skate around the copyright snakes in the grass and do some scouting reports too. Thanks again for another great season. I'm looking forward to draft season, and I will see you all in my next video.